What is up? Welcome back, friends. I'm Ben, just a guy who loves DFS and is working to try to make this a stream of income. I don't play for fun. I play because eventually I want this to be something that is genuinely bringing in money on a relatively consistent basis. So I have no aspirations of being a pro or anything like that, but I do want this to be a stream of income for me. And oh man, I'm at a rough place because recently it just doesn't feel good. It's funny because I started this channel a few weeks ago and I've just been absolutely just dead in the water since. I started out this year really good. Likely story, right? First handful of weeks this season was just like on fire, and I was like, oh shit, this season's gonna be great. This is good. It's crazy that I haven't had any bad weeks. Little did I know that the first half of the season was gonna be great, and the second half of the season was went from like hot, on fire to ice cold. And the reason that I want to mention this is because the mental funk that this puts you in is so fucking real. Man, I don't know, for anybody that's played sports or just like anywhere in life when you could be on a cold streak, I am just like feeling so in it right now. I just have no confidence in my plays, the way that I create lineups. It's just been kind of like this constant downfall over the past few weeks. So yeah, like I said, not great timing for me to be starting a channel and just going through these lineups that are just dumpster fires, basically. But no, it's still important to go through them, assess process, as we talked about in the last video on the main slate for last week. And yeah, just got to hope that over time you can bounce back. And JM to win from 1 week season, who I'm big fan of and a subscriber of, has talked about his cold streaks a couple times in the past and just mentioned how he's gotten out of that funk, taking a weekend off, playing for fun, doing that kind of thing. And so I kind of did that this weekend, actually. I don't have an awesome lineup to show you guys. This is actually a something I'm in with my buddies. But yeah, I actually come Saturday evening when I build like most of my lineups. I didn't want to this week. I was just not feeling it. I played the Saturday slate, so the 2-game, which I didn't review a lineup on here. I've just been a crazy busy last week, but that was fun for me. Like, I wanted to play that slate. I liked short slates, as I think I've mentioned in a couple of these other videos of showdowns and short slates. But yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed making lineups for that. Felt pretty good about it. Still didn't do great. And yeah, and then it came Saturday night to build this lineup or for the main slate this week, and I was just like not in it at all. So I was like, forget it. I'll enter, a couple bucks just for fun, but I'm not going to take it seriously. And then Sunday morning rolled around. I listened to some stuff and I read some stuff, and I started feeling better about the slate. So I put in a little bit more than I was originally expecting, but I really, like I said, I didn't even enter stuff that I didn't even like the lineups that I created. And really the whole, this channel, I want to be talking around lineups, not that did well, but because that's fun, of course, whereas talking about the ones that sucked isn't as much fun. But I do want to talk about lineups that I can actually talk through how I created it instead of just kind of threw it out there. And so I had a handful of throw it out there lineups this week where I was going through just before I got on here, looking at the construction of them, and it was just like, oh fuck, like I just didn't love them at all. So anyways, that's all the high level stuff. Like I said, this is a contest with my buddies, just kind of for fun. This one I normally enter my kind of what I see as like my optimal tourney lineup. I don't always, just because I know these guys, and so sometimes I'll try to throw in some different plays based on that for leverage. But otherwise, this week I really only liked a couple games. I liked the loved actually the Detroit-Tennessee game for a lot of points. I thought this was like shootout material. Tennessee's just, I mean, quietly, they're just a monster when it comes to putting up points. Between Derrick Henry and then you have a really competent quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. I mean, always putting up points, like 30 plus almost every week, at least against average to below average opponents. Detroit definitely falls in the category of below average. And I wrote down in my notes this week, I was like, I really like this game if Stafford plays. Sucks that he's not going to be. Somehow he gutted it out because Stafford. And because of that, I was like, ooh, I really like him against, I figured they'd be trailing. They've showed that they'll let him throw the ball a little bit more since they got rid of Matt Patricia. And so I thought he had a high ceiling. I was worried about the injury, and he did end up going out later in the game, actually. So I didn't even get a chance to break the 300. But yeah, definitely was hoping for like 20 out of him. Didn't expect anything crazy like 30 points or anything like that. But being a week that I didn't love any of the higher priced quarterbacks, there was a few guys down near 6,000 that I liked. Stafford, Breeze, Trubisky even a little bit in a game that I thought was a little sneaky. And and Jalen Hurts, who was the one I probably considered the least. That sucks. That sucks because that's one of those plays that changes your week, right? That's a 25-point swing from Stafford. The reason I wasn't on for 100 more. The reason I wasn't on Hurts more than I was because I love. I mentioned this a couple weeks ago with Taysom Hill. I love rushing upside on quarterbacks, especially when the quarterbacks are cheap and they have rushing upside, because that floor that they're getting you along with their potential ceiling, if they score a touchdown, if they throw a couple touchdowns, is just massive. And so Jalen Hurts showed exactly that this week, which is really definitely the most painful part of this lineup because it changes your week. I think I would have come in second here had I not changed anything else, and my week overall just would have been a lot better. And even though I didn't enter that many things, just being on him instead of Stafford would have been good. So sucks because that's a play that I normally like. So that's a process thing that is upsetting because it's a process thing as well as the results, obviously. So paired Stafford with Swift here, which normally you don't want to go quarterback running back, but Swift, they've shown that they'll throw to him. I figured that again with Kenny Galladay out, they're going to be throwing. They've thrown a ton to Hawkinson, Marvin Jones, and DeAndre Swift when he's played. And so I figured that he was definitely going to be the red zone guy too. So I was really tilted in the first 5 minutes of the game when I saw that Adrian Peterson got 4 carries. But Swift ended up coming through by getting 2 touchdowns. And he did only have a 4 for 15 receiving line though, which I was pretty surprised about in a catch-up game situation. But the offensive play calling for the Lions in general hasn't been that great. So that's what happens when you bet on a subpar team. Definitely not unhappy with Swift, but the points really didn't come from where I was expecting them to. All right, Alvin Kamara, chalky running back of the week. I played him in here just because I thought his floor was unbelievably safe. This right here, talking about receptions, this right here is mind-blowing to me. I thought for sure he had 10 to 12 targets in him and a good 7 to 8 catches and like easy 50-plus receiving yards. So I think everybody else did too, so this is no surprise. And he really honestly saved his day. He would have had 12 freaking points if he didn't get that touchdown, which I actually faded him in some larger field stuff because anytime you have a player that's going to be 30 or 40%, no matter how much of a lock he is, it just doesn't matter, especially the higher price they are, the more reason there is to fade him when it comes to game theory at least. And so loved that I faded Kamara in a couple of the big, the larger field stuff that I entered. I did expect, this is actually ended up closer than I expected. I actually thought that the Saints were going to come in and shit the bed. I just didn't think that Breeze, off of an injury, and the way that they matched up without Michael Thomas was going to put them in position. I loved Michael Thomas this week if he was going to play, so unfortunate that he didn't, because that would have been a layup for me, and I think I would have probably played both him and Kamara, honestly. But all right, so let's see. You'll notice that I loved this Detroit Titans game. The only piece I had here was Jonnu. I actually wanted Hawkinson here, but because of some of these other pieces I wanted to get in, more expensive guys in Jefferson and Thielen, which we'll get to in a second, just ended up going with Jonnu because I liked him as a leverage play off of Derrick Henry. So I was figuring if somehow Derrick Henry wasn't scoring the touchdowns and Jonnu was getting play action or a little dump off in the red zone there, that he would be a good leverage play. I definitely expected Derrick Henry to have a great game, so it was hard to not play him here. But I just thought that for what was this? Like 2K less, right? I think Henry was 9,500. That Kamara was just, a similar play in terms of ceiling. So was okay not going with Henry, even though I did like him a lot. And then you'll notice my final running back spot here, my flex spot I use as a running back spot, in Salvon Ahmed, which no name value to this guy, but Miami has showed that they're one of the only teams that will use a full workhorse running back. And so he has been that guy. He was going to step up because Gaskin was not going to be playing. And so he ended up having a great line. Again, though, I'm honestly surprised he only had one reception. This is, I liked him at 4,700 because he's a guy that, they'll throw a couple passes to. So quite honestly, got a little lucky there. The first Dolphins running back in the past 2 or 3 years to break 100 rushing yards, which is insane. And he got a touchdown. So that ended up working out. I am a little bummed that I didn't get to Pollard. However, I will say that it was a little bit fluky. He pulled off a 40-yard touchdown right at the end of the game. So 10-point play. I saw the last minute news. I didn't pull the trigger on him because I still was like, well, he's going up against the 49ers run D, which, they're not elite by any means, but they're good. And Zeke hasn't done shit this year. And I know that because I've played him a couple times. So I was like, I don't love him. He's a fine play at 5,200, I think he was, but didn't love him. And then Leonard Fournette was the other one who didn't really love him either, just because he just isn't that great. That when he's played, he just looks bad and he just runs into a wall and falls down. He's a big dude, but and he came through by scoring a couple touchdowns as well. So you got some cheap guys that did really well. I think it's really interesting to look back on that and realize that you could have filled 3 running back spots of running back, and a flex with 3 guys that would have cost you $15K and scored you 70 points, I think, which is insane, which is absolutely insane. And I don't know that anybody did that, but shit, you could have had Tyreek Hill and Kelsey in your lineup if you had rolled with those 3 guys, and Kyler or something at quarterback if you wanted. But I'll do defense right here real quick, and then we'll finish off the receivers. I did really like the Bucs this week. I've liked them a lot of weeks this year. I liked them against the Falcons, who Matt Ryan has just not looked great this year. He just looks old, and his arm strength is gone. And of course, the one fucking time that I don't play anybody from the Falcons, and I do play the defense against him, is the one time that this season that he actually shows up and plays. So that sucked to watch. I thought for sure he was good for 3 to 5 sacks and a couple turnovers. But no luck there again. Just running absolutely freezing fucking cold on defense this year. All right, finish up with the wide receivers here. Sammy Watkins. I mean, honestly, this is what's to be expected of him. All you're doing if you're playing Sammy Watkins is hoping that he's going to be one of the guys for the Chiefs that falls into the end zone. I wanted exposure to this game. I just didn't have other ways that I really wanted to get it. I was not going to pay up for Tyreek or Kelsey. So yeah, this was my one way, and it was really a kind of like hope and pray call. I know that he has a floor of basically exactly this, getting you 4 to 6 catches and just hoping that one of those is in the end zone. So not a great play. Unfortunately, both Russell Gage at 4,700, who I initially had in kind of like my first lineup go this week, and Kendrick Bourne at 4,100, who I had in my original lineup this week, outscored him by quite a bit. Russell Gage ended up being the play. Kendrick Bourne was kind of lucky, but I liked him as leverage to Ayuk, who I love, but I just didn't end up getting to him in here. Yeah, Russell Gage, that one hurts though, because I had him kind of circled early in the week. I just didn't know that for sure he would be kind of the next guy up. I thought that, maybe one of those like Juan Treadwell or Christian Blake comes off the bench and gets, random a touchdown or something like that. So that hurts because he ended up getting 10 targets, I think, and he scored in like the first 5 minutes of the game. So that wasn't great. And then Jefferson and Thielen. I know it's kind of a weird setup here because I played both Jefferson and Thielen and no Cousins. But I liked Jefferson and Thielen as a block of players because the Bears actually had a couple, or I think 3 of their defensive backs that were injured and not playing. And this game was actually pretty meaningful in terms of playoff ramifications. And I thought that there could actually be a decent amount of throwing in this game instead of just handing it off to Dalvin. And the Bears handing it off to David Montgomery, which they did a whole bunch, and he scored really well. But yeah, I thought between Thielen and Jefferson, it was pricey, but I thought between the two of them, I could score a solid 40 points, maybe 45 or so, and it felt relatively locked in to me. So I was just like, you know what, I'm going to go with the two of them, and instead of trying to guess which one is getting the production, because this is exactly how they've been playing all year. For the most part, is one guy has a high score, the other one doesn't, but normally the high score is higher, so it doesn't hurt you as much. But having 30 points between two guys who cost you over 14K is no good. Especially since Jefferson just got there I was watching this game on ESPN app, and he literally got there. His 8th catch put him over 100 because they reviewed it. But yeah, so that is the lineup for the week. Again, yeah, I'm in a slump. I'm in a rut. It doesn't feel good. And yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I almost didn't play this week. It felt good when I got to it, but even afterwards, I didn't even check my scores. I literally checked this like an hour ago. It's Monday night when I'm doing this, and so just feeling a little out of it. And it's definitely not because I don't like football in this time of year. It's definitely just because I feel like I've been wrong a whole bunch recently, and it just hurts when you swing and miss and swing and miss. So that said, I am going to just kind of go with the flow. I'm still going to plan on playing this coming weekend. It's Christmas week, so they've got some island games coming up on Christmas Day and on Saturday. So maybe throwing a couple lineups are fun, but for the rest of the year, probably, unless I go on a heater somehow, some way, I'm just going to be playing for fun. It's, I put in a lot of work this year, and unfortunately I didn't start doing these until, most of that work was already done. But that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know if any of you struggle with kind of the mental aspect of losing a bunch or going on cold streaks. Curious what you think. If you are, hit me up in the comments. I'd love to kind of lean on each other there. Otherwise, yeah, quickly, I know this is my buddies, so it's not in a large field here, but just to see what he did. There he is, the man, Jalen Hurts. Man, it literally hurts. Literally hurts. Especially the fact, this dude got over 300 yards and 3 passing touchdowns, plus the rushing. Huge. Derrick Henry, obviously. Jonathan Taylor's chalk this week, and he showed up, played well. Ayuk played well again. Yeah, dude is not a secret anymore. Everybody's playing him this week. He's just so damn good. They continue to force the ball to him. It's going to be that way the rest of the year. He's probably going to be in, I haven't looked at pricing yet this week, but he's probably around 7K, I would imagine. And then, there's our guy, Russell Gage, that I whiffed on, Cam Sims, Gerald Everett, Alvin Kamara, and Eagles D. Yeah, being on Jalen Hurts was huge. Like I said, I would have been right up at about 160 if I had Hurts and nothing else was different. And then, you get the solid Derrick Henry, the solid Jonathan Taylor, solid Alvin Kamara, and then you get a couple receivers who do well compared to their price considered score, and there you go. So that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully next week will be a little bit more exciting for you and for me because we got something good going on. But otherwise, hope you had a good weekend. Let me know what you did well or you struggled with in the comments. Love to kind of see where you guys are with that. Otherwise, I will catch you next week. Good luck. Later.